Every option you are given today is secretly draining your sanity. Most people believe that more choice equals more freedom, but psychologists have discovered a devastating glitch in human nature called the paradox of choice. It's the reason why, in an era of infinite variety, you feel more paralyzed, more anxious, and more dissatisfied than any generation in history. We have weaponized abundance. Step into a local grocery store and you are assaulted by 175 different salad dressings. Walk into an electronics shop and you can construct over 6 million distinct stereo systems from the components on offer. This isn't progress, it's an administrative nightmare for your neurochemistry. This pattern has moved past simple shopping. It's hijacked your career, your relationships, and your very identity. Once you see how this paradox is being used to shift the burden of responsibility onto your shoulders, you'll realize why you feel perpetually exhausted by doing nothing. But here's where the trap turns dangerous. Most people think they just need more time to decide. That is the exact mistake that keeps your brain paralyzed. The psychological truth is brutal. You are no longer consuming products. You are managing anxiety. This pattern has turned even the most sacred parts of life into a burden. Consider modern healthcare. When you visit a doctor, they no longer tell you what to do. They present you with option A and option B, listing an exhausting matrix of risks and benefits before looking at you and asking, "What do you want to do?" We call this patient autonomy to make it sound noble, but in reality, it is a cowardly shifting of the psychological weight. The terrifying responsibility of a high-stakes decision is transferred from an expert who knows everything to a vulnerable, terrified patient who knows nothing. And it gets worse. This absolute freedom has turned inward, corrupting your very sense of self. We no longer inherit a stable identity from our families. We are forced to invent it from scratch. Every single morning, you wake up and have to decide what kind of human being you want to be. Look at your relationships. There was a time when the cultural default was to get married and have children. The only real choice was who. Today, everything is aggressively up for grabs. Brilliant, capable minds are failing to live deeply because they are consumed by a permanent internal trial. Should I commit or wait? Career first or family first? Am I missing out on something better? Even your rest is compromised. Technology lets you work every second from any square inch of the planet. When you sit at your kid's soccer game, your brain is firing constant, agonizing micro-questions. Should I check that email? Should I draft that letter? The absence of boundaries means you are constantly deciding whether you should or shouldn't be working. The present moment is systematically murdered by a ghost horde of alternative choices. All of this choice has two severe negative effects on your consciousness. First, it produces intense paralysis. When a major financial institution tracked 1 million employees, they found that for every 10 retirement fund options offered, the participation rate dropped by 2%. Offer 5 funds and people secure their future. Offer 50 and the decision becomes so overwhelmingly difficult that they pass up thousands of dollars in free money and delay the choice forever, because tomorrow never comes. Second, even if you manage to choose, you end up significantly less satisfied. Why? Because your mind calculates opportunity costs. When you select one path, your brain constructs a flawless, imaginary phantom out of the best features of all the paths you rejected. You aren't comparing your reality to another reality. You are comparing it to a perfection that doesn't exist. Decades ago, when you bought a pair of jeans, they came in one style. They fit terribly, but when you were dissatisfied, you blamed the world. The world was at fault, not you. Today, you are offered 100 fits: slim, relaxed, easy, stonewashed, distressed. You spend an hour trying them on, and you leave with the best-fitting jeans you've ever owned. Objectively, you did better, but subjectively, you feel miserable. Because with 100 options, your expectations skyrocketed. You expected absolute perfection, and when your choice isn't perfect, you no longer blame the world. You blame yourself. The explosion of clinical depression and suicide in the affluent world is tied to this exact mechanism. We are doing better objectively, but we feel vastly worse because we have no excuse for failure. No one is coming to save you from this luxury trap. You must install your own psychological architecture. First, learn the art of becoming a satisficer. Reclaim your peace by establishing a baseline for what good enough means before you browse. The moment an option hits those metrics, you stop. You close the tabs. You look at the choice and say, "You'll do." Settling isn't a sign of weakness, it is an aggressive act of psychological self-defense. Second, force irreversible commitment. Behavioral science proves that when people are told they can never return or exchange an item, their psychological immune system kicks in. Your brain actively searches for and invents reasons to love what you have already chosen. Stop looking for the perfect path. Pick a lane, destroy the map, and let your mind manufacture its own happiness through the sheer weight of your commitment. Some choice is undoubtedly better than none, but it does not follow that more choice is better than some choice. We passed the optimal peak of human welfare a long time ago. Picture a fish living inside a small, structured glass bowl. It is easy to look at that fish and pity its limited world, thinking its imagination is restricted. But if you shatter the fishbowl so that everything is possible, you do not grant the fish freedom. You grant it a violent, breathless death. True freedom is not the absence of boundaries. It is having the wisdom to know which boundaries keep you alive. Everybody needs a fishbowl, and once you see it, you can't unsee it.